call the meeting to order. 7:01,
I have 7:02.
7:02.
I'm just kidding. You said you give people a hard time. I tease people, so I'm going to take that role tonight.
Okay, no one on Zoom, so we don't have to roll call.
We have Zoom. Huh?
We have no committee on Zoom.
What do you mean we have no committee on Zoom?
We're all here.
Like,
All
we
members
don't
are
have to
Oh,
present
yeah,
do
no,
in
that.
remember you
person.
guys, that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we don't need to do roll calls because there's no one of us on
Oh,
Zoom.
tell him that.
So we can get
Try to say.
the ball.
We have all little punchy.
Joanne, did you know, like with us, all of us here, that you don't have to do a roll call? Did you know that?
She'll-
Glad you told
she
me.
will
I'll
minute
write that
that.
down right now.
She will minute.
No roll call.
Just dig and dig and dig.
So the second item is we had communication from Rich Whitney that the circumstances beyond his control have demanded that he step down from CPC. So, do we officially need to? It's a selectment, but we just to
selectmen
share
accepted
that
it.
with you guys to know that that's what's going on. He's okay, but and he didn't want to share a lot. So
Yeah, he
Can I,
did ask for the most part that if anyone wants to touch base with him to, just reach out directly.
directly, yeah.
Can I make a motion that, that, we send, Richard, a letter thanking him for his service and his contributions and also wishing him a speedy recovery?
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried unanimously.
Gee, we're nice people, aren't we?
We try.
Yep.
Treasurer's report. Paul.
So, did you get it, Joanne? Because I sent it out.
You know, everybody's got it. There should be
Everyone
one
does
in
have it.
front of
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Oh.
There's no change from last month. The only thing that changed last month from the prior month was the one item that we needed to address because of trying to remember it was the land holdings on the Lions Club warrant or their project. They had actually turned in their notification that they were done and they didn't need to have any use of the money anymore, and so it was actually closed. And we were fortunate in that Mary Lauria was able to open it back up. It was like a $4,400 amount, if memory serves me correct. So I did adjust that. We had to go back to the prior year, make that adjustment, and that was reflected in our November treasurer's report. And again, there's no change for this month. There was good news from Stewart in that the $20 million was signed from the budget surplus for the state, but we don't know yet when we're going to see that money or exactly what it's going to be. So once we do, then we will update the report to reflect it.
I move we accept the treasurer's report.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Did you have
No, I was gonna take a motion and
Too
I
slow.
was even
Too
too late
slow.
for the second.
all those in favor?
I just went
Aye.
away from
All those
it.
opposed? Motion carried. Since you were talking about Stewart, I know Worcester had a CPC election, and I don't have any idea if it passed or not. It was.
It's in that
In the
the
update.
update
Did-
they sent,
did
the
it?
last one.
Isn't it? Didn't they
I
pass
don't
it?
recall if theirs did. A bunch did, but there were some that didn't.
Because I know there was, I heard
can
a
look it
lot
up
of
while
radio
we're
ads
sitting here.
against it, that the Chamber of Commerce was against it.
Huh.
So I just didn't know if anybody knew that.
I could tell.
I've got it, yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I remember they were looking at a 1.5%.
Boylston, Natick, Shelburne, Worcester, as well as Westboro, as well as the city of Worcester, all succeeded.
All
Excellent.
Yeah.
okay.
It's good all around us.
They have a lot of
Yeah.
stuff, controversy.
We
going on
gotta
right now.
get our money and run.
Clerk's report. Has everybody had a chance? Any
There's a couple of them.
Can we approve them on Mars?
I have an edit.
Okay.
I have actually two on the 9:22 minutes. They're both on page 2.
What line number?
I couldn't see the lines of what I looked at. I will tell you where they are though. Under the correspondence from Bylaw Review Committee, the last sentence, second to the last line, there's a word that says meaning, and it should read meeting.
Okay, meaning should be.
And then the third to the last paragraph, same page, the middle line, it says bylaws. It has two words, it should be one.
Okay.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And this is for all,
Yes, sir.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare motion carried. Moving along, town meeting recap.
So, yeah, I just put that on there in case there was something anybody wanted to talk about with regards to town meeting.
Did anybody, I know we didn't have a great number of people at town meeting, but
I had
all
COVID.
of our warrant articles passed, so.
I had COVID for a town meeting.
That's why you weren't there.
Yeah,
I was
thanks.
happy 95 North.
I got it from
passed,
my
but it
wife.
was still close.
Right.
That'll happen.
But hey, a success is a success, it's a success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. The grant, agreement documents for the new projects.
So with those, I sent them out to everybody. There's 3 of them. One of them is for the Lions Club. It's like basically just a duplication of the one that they got for the phase 3 of their project, but it has the new amount. I put you as the contact.
Yep, that's right.
The other one was for 95 North Street for the development of the accessible passive recreation park. Again, it's very similar to the one that was put together for the design services. Obviously changed the warrant article language and the scope of the project. The dollar amount, I put Sandy and Kristen as kind of
Yep,
people on that.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Figuring one of you would probably have the.
Yeah,
update.
Leah usually, we get filled in at Concom, so.
And I will say, on tape, Leah provides us with a quarterly update. She is one of the few
She,
project people.
her and Jan on the, our staff is just stupendous because everything is right there.
Yep.
Every, everything's there to vote on. The reports they do ahead of time.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they make it so that I don't quit. So which is nice.
Good, excellent. That's
But no, they make it very easy. They're
Good.
very professional,
good.
which is
Only,
nice.
only second to CPC, right, staff?
No, they're probably ahead.
A little bit more of them and stuff. So
The other one is I didn't do one for the purchase of the 173 and 183. It's kind of a layup. I did send a note to Evan recently to get a status on that. But we do need one for the baseline reports. That's the $2,500. I did not assign a name to that. I figured you'd want to have somebody volunteer. That's just following up with the land trust to make certain that have everything they need and to be the person who oversees the bill payment and that.
Anyone interested in? I would think that would be pretty easy.
I'd be happy to do
Okay,
it. I haven't
Eric.
done one yet, so.
Good one to get started on.
Because that's cut and dried, a very short term, and then it's finished. So good. Thank you.
Yep.
I'll contact Rob Aberg and get your counterpart with them.
Okay. Thank you.
Project updates. We'll kick off with you again.
Sure.
Do you have any news from Affordable Housing Trust?
Yeah, nothing really new. We met in November. GSX on Upton Street is back with GSX. They were trying to offload it to a company called Beacon. For whatever reason, that didn't work out. So, according to them, they're going to move forward with the development. It's in that district where it goes just through planning board approval. It's not ZBA. And the minimum affordable that they have to do is 10%. So we are going to discuss, upping that 10 to 25 so that we would get credit for all the units. It's still 123 units. I'm not gonna account anything on that project until the purchase and sale gets agreed to with the town, because there's just been a lot of stops and starts there. But so that's kind of back on the table
Is that the one they were gonna give $1 million to?
potentially.
Is that still in the works? That
Yeah, so that would be like the deal basically. They kick it up to 25%. We subsidize it so that they can give the same return to their investors.
So that GSX had planned to sell it to Beacon and then that sale,
Fell
Fell
through.
through.
Or they were going to assign the purchase and sale because they don't actually own it yet.
right?
But yeah, it didn't work out. Beacon, they specialize in leveraging a lot of kind of complicated affordable housing laws, and I guess it just didn't work out, so they walked away.
Okay.
And then on 25 Worcester Street, we're moving forward with the RFP there. I don't think we have to vote on the RFP still. We got a draft from Mass Housing. I don't think anything's gonna get sent out till the new year at this point. It's too late. You know, contractors aren't gonna be game to respond right before Christmas. So that's where that is. And
What's
then
the RFP? What are the parameters for that?
yeah, so the trust, was gifted the land by the town. We're not in the business. The trust is not in the business of developing land themselves. So put out an RFP. Get proposals back on, what a potential contractor would build, what they'd be looking for. Do we have to gift the land to them? All that stuff. So basically, we just want to see like what the market is kind of willing to do there, and then
So it's not, initially there's not like an offer of here's some money or here's the land. This is like this is available. What can you do here?
yeah, they got to show their cards first, and then it's an official RFP process, so everything has to be deliberated. But so right now we're at the point of finalizing what the actual RFP is going to say.
Okay.
Yep.
is that still an over 55 or is it open?
It is, yeah, it's deed restricted, so it has to be that.
You may want to mention some way, if you can, to have them take a drive through Forest Lane and get an idea of those kind of housing units there, because that would really fit in with the neighborhood without being, really out of place.
Yeah, we actually have an architect on the trust, Brittany, and she made sure to put a section in the RFP that bids will be given favorable treatment if the design is conforming with the neighborhood, and the trust obviously all agreed about that.
And we can make like the as-bills available if that would be helpful to her.
Okay.
Have her give Amanda a call. I'm sorry. Just tell her that I said that she should do it.
Okay.
So when you RFP it like that, do you have a number? Like how many you think are gonna go in there or?
Yeah, so the chair of the trust, Bruce, collected feedback. We consulted with MHP2 to see like, hey, what's actually realistic here? The RFP at the current draft is 48 to 60 units is what we're looking for. Probably 4 buildings, but again, that's not up to us at the end of the day. The developer has to have something that makes sense for them. So that's the preference, but if somebody comes in and the highest one is lower, then we can't do anything about that.
Well, you could say no.
We could.
You don't have
Yeah.
to do, I mean, I think in some ways you need to control it more than letting them, you can tell the developer.
Yeah,
what
for
you
sure.
want, too. It's just if they come in with 60, you can say 27 or whatever the number is more
Yeah.
appropriate,
Yep.
If they're getting the land for free, they're gonna make money no matter what.
Yep. We don't have anything about like trust contribution in the RFP. I think we're not allowed to actually. So they're just coming at it from like, hey, we're assuming we might have to buy this from the trust.
And that's gonna be 100% affordable?
I don't know off the top of my head. It's not 100%, but I think with those developments, it's a pretty high percentage that they can actually make financially feasible versus like a typical residential. But I can follow up and
Well, the units, because it'll be apartments, I guess. What are they gonna be? If you're saying
it would
60
be
units,
it would
so
be rentals.
If you were over 25, those would be 100% as well.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yep.
I have to see what you get.
In all of the discussions, are the concerns of the neighbors? Has that been folded into?
Yeah, I think again, this is like another retread. Like we kind of did stuff with 25 Worcester. It kind of subsided as we were focused on GSX, and then that kind of wasn't looking good. So we refocused on 25 Worcester. Throughout that process, there's been a lot of community feedback. There was also that point, I think it was like fall of last year, where the trust had wanted to try to take the deed restriction off. Got a lot of feedback there. That didn't happen. The article was passed over. So the point I brought up about conforming to the neighborhood style, I would say, obviously I think the trust wants to do that anyway, but it was very clear.
Because I think just from a neighborhood perspective, but as a town resident perspective, this is a really important parcel of land close to our common.
Yep.
And I wouldn't want to see a bunch of typical apartments, as needed as they are, a stone's throw away from the common. I would want them to design them and build them to look like they've been there for a while.
Yep.
They don't have to look like 150 years old, but to really try to make a good fit. And I think like with the library as an example.
Yeah.
We worked and it took 3 times, and the third time actually got the best design.
Mm-hmm.
So that it definitely looks like an addition, but it certainly blends in, and it's not a huge jarring.
Stick out like a
this
sore thumb.
this isn't right.
Yeah.
So that and also from a safety perspective, because I've been here with all the different iterations that it was going to be for a park and a fire station and everything else, that safety was a concern because of the hill and the curve. And if it's over 55 and you're going to have 60 units, that it's concerning to me as well. So it's like that, all that has to somehow get folded into.
You can make the same argument. I mean, the other spoke is the CSX one. Right, it's the same argument. It's coming into the common. There's spokes going into it, so you want to kind of keep it
Right.
at
Well, I
least
mean,
in the
that,
back of your
and,
head.
and I pushed hard on that with historic district, and it was ignored. And the design.
Yeah, I'm just
we
saying
weren't
as-
happy
as
at
you-
all with the design
Right.
at all.
Yeah,
And we
I think
did
it's something you
provide
should be
that
cognizant
feedback.
But it
But
went nowhere.
We
That's
never
the concern.
The other thing you may want to be thinking about is for maintenance and upkeep and things like that. And if we could work something, again, in concert with the housing authority in such a way that we could have the executive director, like, collecting the rents. And if we had some sort of, interest in there, we could actually pick up another, utility person, mow the lawns, rake and things like that. So,
Jim, who's gonna own it though? I mean, how does that work? Maybe I just don't understand it. How would
Yeah.
the housing authority be doing work up there? Does the town?
I mean, we did discuss like technically we could do a ground lease, but like, do we want to be a landlord? Like that's not really our thing. So this is my opinion, not the trust, but I'm guessing we either sell it, gift it, whatever, where ownership is truly transferred. And the RFP definitely had components of it about like management, upkeep, stuff like that. So, it will be a private development most likely. And I can share I'll send the RFP draft out to everybody. It's not that long. You can just kind of thumb through it. And I think we're going to vote at the next meeting on it. There were some tweaks that we wanted to make.
Yeah, we're not giving any money to this though, right? It's just-
Yeah, but we're at this stage of the game, you're not even at that point.
No, but I'm saying, this is good discussion, I don't mind it, but we really don't have a
It's just good for the.
If I see a building that looks like the old high school, I will be your biggest cheerleader.
It's funny that Bruce says that every time.
Cheerleader?
That was a beautiful building.
Yeah.
Oh, the old high school that was there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not the,
I was like, the one we're sitting in. This is the old high school.
The
The old
really
high
old
school
high
that's a middle school, or which
first
one?
high school.
The one that is no longer.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And it's like, and that's, if that's, that's apartments, but you can then, again, a good architect can, and see that, and then say, okay, we're gonna make it a big building or multiple that, that maybe comes off of, gosh, what's the side street, so they're not coming on
Sartell.
Sartell, so that helps the traffic, so.
I do want to just say that when it comes to the Upton Street TSX property, when they finally do have a plan that they bring to the planning board, there's plenty of opportunity to make comments and say, okay, well, this design is horrendous. It won't look right coming in. That we have some flexibility there, not it's on certain aspects of how that plan goes, but we can at least at the very least hear it. They can hear the concern from residents, and we can see about making it better in some way.
It's just so tall, and I don't think they want to give up that because that's units, right?
Yeah, I think the height requirement that they are looking to use is something that we can't restrict them down that much. So, that is one concern that we can't do as much about. But
Yeah.
there are other ways we could try to.
But to do the massing more towards the back or the sides,
Yeah.
rather than right on the street, where you
Yeah,
have
that's an option.
2 stories on the street, and then it
Yeah.
kind of wedding cakes back.
Those are options we can try to suggest and ask for, but because of the way the zoning is,
But can't you trade? Well, if you do this, we'll give you this. Is that in your?
there are certain things they could ask waivers for that we have some
That gives you some
wiggle room that say, okay, well, if you provide us a thing that is better for the town, in a compromise, we can give you this waiver. That's kind of the
Right.
way that
Some
goes about
leverage.
it. And then if they,
Yep.
if they were looking to do 4 or 5 stories at the front, and they could do it that way and still get what they want, but even though it's not, maybe there are a few units less than they really wanted or something, we could say, well, actually that is a benefit for the town. We might better grant you this waiver, for that kind of reason. That's all things we can do in consideration for.
If it's by right, it's by right.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. It's a lot of what they're probably looking to do is by right. They may not request any waivers, so we would have less.
But if
force
they have
behind
to
it.
move wetlands, that gets out of the by right, and
Well, that's just, that's,
That's where we get leverage.
yeah.
does that?
And from the Conservation Commission standpoint, we don't per se care about the building, not that we don't care about
Right,
it, but
but
that's
that's not
planning
your-
board.
right.
That's not us.
Yeah.
We're concerned with the impact to the wetlands, and so try to work,
Right. I think as long as everybody, hopefully from the town side, on the same page of what we would like to see there, we understand it's gonna be apartments. We want it to look the best for Grafton, cause these are both gateways to the common.
Yeah, I just don't like the way we keep saying whatever the developer wants, you make it's what we want. There's plenty of developers, and you
Yeah.
ask for a lot of things, and the first guy who comes down the pike may not be what's the best. We're in the driver's seat, and I hear it all the time. Well, the developer won't be happy. I don't. Who cares?
Well, the land's still there. It'll
The
still
land's
be
there, and there's a developer that will develop it.
And once the land is developed, then you have it for 50 to 100 years,
Yeah.
not longer. And
You don't have to make developers super happy.
The trick is there's certain things that they can do by right, and if we can't justify why we deny something, as far as by past precedents, by the zoning laws, then
Well, that's when they're in
then
that
they appeal and
chicken
they
house
get to do their
I'm
own
saying
thing
before
anyway.
we
But
can
your
approve
point
it.
is, the town still owns the land.
Yeah.
Yes.
So before you get off that thing.
That's right, before you-
That's when you have all the control. Once you make the agreements and you have a contract, you lose control of
That's
that,
the
and then it
Exactly.
goes, then it becomes what you can do by law,
right.
by law and so forth.
You can still, to Brooke's point, get a lot of concessions even if you don't truly have leverage, because the smart developers, like, they don't want to get a bad reputation, and we're in safe harbor, so
Right.
like these developers that want to come into Grafton, they do have to give us
Yeah.
attractive proposals, because ZBA can say no and they have no recourse.
Yep. And
You
if
know,
you
And even planning board, like, you guys got a lot of you know, I know there's a lot of strong opinions about the Wyman Gordon thing, but
Yeah.
compare the original proposal you guys got to all the concessions. You know, you can get a lot out of them.
But to the same as Sandy's saying, before they're in the hen house, you can make a lot of parameters
Yeah.
saying, this is
Yep.
what we want. You don't want to do that. As you said, we're in safe harbor, so thank you for playing. We'll talk to you another time. We'll
Yep.
put out another RFP another time. Because once they're in, your hands are tied. But before they get in,
Yep.
there's a lot of things, which I want the mentality
Yeah.
of town to flip a little bit, like the developers aren't doing us a favor. They're not coming here to do us a favor.
And I will say just the one
Trying to
Come on and make money.
Yeah,
the one nuance
do
that's
it if they
there
make money.
too is that even if they don't own the land yet, but they come before the planning board with the proposal, plan, our hands are still tied as a planning board on what we can rule on, what we can do, because we have to rule on the use.
Yeah.
And so, they may not have it yet, but this is what we have to have to work with.
Can I ask, I go in and I'm paying my rent with a check. Who's the check made payable to?
ABC company, whoever owns
Is it? So we're basically giving away the land?
Hopefully so.
If they build a building, we'll give you the land?
The affordable, the town, in its wisdom, gave the Affordable Housing Trust the land on one of those
Yeah.
hot town meetings that nobody went to. And now the Affordable Housing Trust, you can do what they want with it. They can give it away, they can charge $1, they
But
can
the whole
sell it.
idea is that you end up with affordable housing
Well,
in for however many
Right.
years, and then that's affordable housing available, and
And the deed is restricted to that. So
Correct.
if they sell it, the next person
Yeah,
has to
it
fulfill.
goes
that's why I
that
think
stuff.
you should get a lot more concessions, because the land is free. I mean, you've already made your
Mm.
money. So any developer, I think you could tell them to build whatever you want, whenever you
Yeah.
want, however you want, because you're handing them a parcel of land that they would have had to spend $400,000 or $500,000 for. They're
Yeah.
gonna put, or more. So they've already made their money. So
Yep.
to say, I don't want to do, the developer might not like it. You're gonna find a developer who will come in and build something guaranteed,
Yeah.
free land.
And we're not committing to giving the land away in the RFP. So that
Yeah,
there's
so-
multiple stages, right?
Okay.
It's the RFP. You get the offers. You hopefully have one you can select that at
Maybe that's
least
a card you hold that.
Exactly.
You drop it
Yeah.
30
'Cause then-
or whatever, and we'll throw the land in for nothing.
from the RFP. Then we negotiate the PSA, and at that point, we could say, hey, we want these things. If you do that, we'll give you the land for free or whatever it ends up being. And then even then, still, it has to go, through the. I think that one's ZBA.
I think that is ZBA
Yeah.
because of
It's way out of
Yeah.
variance.
exactly.
Justin, we don't have any height restrictions on buildings and stuff?
We do. They're based on the zone. The height restrictions in the GSX, where that is going on Upper Street, is looser than most other setups in town. And part of that was when it was designed as the zoning for that overlay district for that spot, they envisioned needing to have a little bit of extra, availability for the RFPs that would come out.
So how high can they go?
I can look that up and let the. I don't remember
I'm just
exactly.
curious.
Well, there's nothing
Isn't it
over a 3-story building.
Part of it
in
a
town.
function
I think
of
that's 4.
how tall the tallest.
Isn't the town?
it
fire
depends.
truck
Depends
is-
upon if you have a
Building, or you
penthouse,
could do
depends
four?
No, but I
upon-
mean, it's like
I
if a fire
think-
truck
Depends on
will
property.
go to the third
Four
floor and they're
stories.
building
Yeah,
a
8 Pine is gonna be
building,
4.
Yeah.
That's what the
And the
zoning.
big
No,
building
it
too
has
that's
to do
on
with
the
building code.
left side.
Because it
if you
becomes
go
a
away
high
from
rise
town.
at a
I feel
certain
like that's
point.
4.
8 Pine
And
Street is
because
going to be 4.
you have high rises that
At least
fire
in-
trucks
in-
can't get to.
The biggest
So it's a
building.
different
I
type
think the
of
plans that
construction.
I looked at for the GSX facility were for 5 floors.
It's pretty common.
That
That's a mid-rise.
that might be accurate. I'm trying to remember for sure. I think it was 4 visible facing floors, and the 5th floor is basically a roof, sanded roof in the front, and then what I looked at in the
Yeah, it's been
sketches,
a while
but
since I looked at.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a
and then
while.
you have all sorts of like equipment on the roof and
Yep.
a penthouse or whatever else, and
How high's the ladder truck go?
Yeah.
We're gonna buy a new fire
no.
truck.
no,
I thought it was 6 floors.
Oh, is it?
Our-
Okay.
Our
Well,
ladder
that-
truck,
that
I
would be
know,
good.
will
Yeah.
is suitable for what is at 8 Pine Street, which is 4 stories.
so yeah, but there are a lot of buildings that are higher than that, and it changes the way you build the building changes when you get beyond that. I mean, you go to anything that becomes a high rise, which is why the building code changes, because then you have a different way of yeah, a different way of
So
firefighting.
most trucks only go up 5 stories, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you're not gonna get a truck that goes up 20 stories or
Right.
15 stories or 12 stories. It's just not gonna
Yeah, it
happen.
doesn't happen yet.
Yeah, so it becomes a different type of construction. And again, it's, you know, there's a huge, and again, I don't know the architectural side that well, but all I do know is when you get onto a project, the difference between when it becomes like a mid-rise to a high-rise, and then all of a sudden, all of these regulations come in. As far as fire ratings, you know, access points, all those things, makes the building different, makes it much more expensive. But again, the whole idea, you're going up, so you have the floor, you know, you got the ratio going on based on the footprint.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's a lot into that, but, and I'm sure the way this town is and a lot of smaller towns are, you're not gonna allow the high rises, you're not gonna allow any of that, because you aren't equipped
Yeah.
to do the life safety component of it, so.
Yeah, I feel very confident in saying that it is not 6 stories.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't believe it was. I think it was 5.
Yeah,
I think it's
yeah.
4 or 5.
4 or
Can we
5 is a
move on to
midwife.
the
that's
trail
really cool.
feasibility?
Yeah.
It's been about 15 minutes of really
Sorry.
stuff that doesn't pertain to any of you. So the trail feasibility study, if you don't, that was a project that started under Joe Layden. It's many, many years old. He started that, the whole point of it was to see if there was the feasibility of building a trail from the North Grafton Elementary School into the new development that's going on Institute Road. Part of it is, it's an access route for that school, should they ever need it. Should the road in front of them be closed down because of something that happened at the propane facility. That was one of the things that started all of this. It all started back when the propane facility went in. It got lost a little bit when Joe left and Chris came on. I had a lot of conversations with Chris about it. He thought it was complete. It wasn't complete, it turns out. Really no work, as far as I can tell, was done on this while Chris was here. Part of that probably is because there was no development going on. You know, the gentleman bought that property, they thought it was gonna get developed quickly, it didn't. I had reached out to Justin, John and I had to see if Justin would be willing to pick this up, because some work has been done. So as we learned with the Common project, while this project has hit its sunset date, the account is still open and the contract is still open. We just have to figure out what's happened with it, and Justin said he would take that on.
Yep.
So it's back on here and hopefully,
Yeah, to just elaborate on that, I did not look too much into this yet since the email conversation, and my primary reason is since Chris has now left the planning department, we're short a staff planner entirely. You know, there's no planner. We have a temporary planner that works 10 hours a week, and there's still a lot to do. So staff is pretty reasonably overwhelmed with what is going on to do, as well as the new website launch. So there's more, more to deal with that. And then, so I'm holding out hope that they hire a new planner very soon. And there's also a separate job posting up for a second planner in the planning department office. That posting's been a while. I guess we have some applications for that already. So there's some hope that we'll get the staffing in there. So I'm hoping that shortly after the new year, when and if there's a new planner, I can start to look into it a little bit deeper myself, touch base with the planning department to get just some of their eyes and experience on it to say, you know, what has been done, what's left to do, and
There's a lot of trails out there. I live right near it,
yeah,
and there's already a bunch of
But-
trails and a bunch of, you
But yeah.
see a lot of, four-wheelers and
yeah, for me
motorbikes
it's
out
to
there.
double check what the warrant language was, double check what the, you know, project proposal was, what the actual contract says, what has been done in the contract, and, you know, go from there. Because yes, there are a bunch of trails, but what is the actual scope of what is open in the contract that we can actually finish out and
Yeah.
take
I
care
think
of?
they were looking to see if they could actually put in like a asphalt trail from the school into that development.
Really? Why?
And it
First
maybe
emergency.
it was emergency in case something
Oh, no,
happened.
That's when the
I thought it
propane
was
thing-
for, I thought it was for, a place for the kids to walk out, not for vehicles.
Well, it is a place for the kids to walk out, but I don't think the idea was they would be on a soft pack. Like, cause I go on those trails too. I mean, I think we could probably let all the kids loose on the trails and they would figure their way through. But I
But
think
you'd
that-
want a more direct.
I think they were
yeah.
looking for a very direct route with a
Yep.
very defined.
Oh,
And there,
You know.
there is I guess the Grafton Land Trust has been in litigation. I think they're over it now, I believe, regarding accessibility on some of their trails as it is. So, thinking about just that nature of it, there's bound to be students at Grafton Elementary
Right.
that cannot
Wheelchair.
move themselves across the trail very easily.
true, but you don't need to go to a paved trail.
True.
Stone
You know,
dust.
there
And I
are
think that was
options.
part of the point of doing this, was to determine what was needed.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha, yeah.
Will the planning board be involved in any of the interview process for a new planner or this?
I know Evan had discussed with me when Chris announced his departure that he was looking to have the planning department be involved. I do know that he's put out at least one actual offer without planning board involvement. But the understanding with that was the person had such a glowing resume and apply even for something else, I guess, that Evan wanted to try to get them to commit to Grafton before we had potentially lost them, which made sense to me. It's just
I know I got to be involved in
What else did they
when we
apply for?
hired
was that
the agent.
What did they apply for?
I don't remember those details.
There's a ton of movement right now in town planners, and there's a shortage.
Yep, and that's exactly what my understanding was why Evan felt like he needed to move because a lot of towns want people to fill this role, and there's not a lot of candidates out
A lot of
looking for 'em.
experienced people.
Rough job.
It is, yeah.
And the pay.
Well, I'm still thinking about Joanne on the four-wheeler on that road there.
I know, I was just bummed she'd heard about me.
Okay,
Yeah, I've been out there when they were buzzing around.
I see you on like a.
any
motorized
update on
unicycle.
town records?
I don't see. you
Paul?
on a-
So I know that
Moving along.
the letter from the historical commission was provided, validating that the documents she's looking to restore are historic and of importance to the town. I haven't heard anything further from Candy since she got that letter, but I do know that she was eager to get moving on the stuff. She had already gotten the quote and all, so as far as I know, she's moving ahead.
For historic gravestones, I'll follow up with Rich, cause he's had been working on that, to see where he was, what he had, what information he can share with me on that. So back to you, Paul. Grafton
the Common. So it's coming along nicely. Still didn't meet the timeline that you were looking for. It's been such a challenge, and weather too has been a challenge with it. But we're pretty much wrapped up for the season. There are a couple things that are going to carry over into the spring. One of them, well, this may still happen before the year is out, but there is a telephone pole in the middle of the common. That part of this project is to remove it. Most of the wires have been taken off of it. The only one that was remaining is the telecommunications line, which the town owns and is contracted out with a company, I forget where they're located, but somewhere around the Boston area. At any rate, we've been trying to get in touch with them for months, and we finally succeeded. We now have a contract that I'm just waiting for validation from Evan that we're good to go on. I think we are. And they will come and they will basically take down, well, they won't take down the pole. The DPW will do that itself, but they'll take down the wire. And then the wire is going to then run the same way that all the other lines are, which basically is on that east side of the common, almost is outside the common. It goes over it just a little bit, and that's where all the power lines are. And then it will go from there to the control box underground, and then we'll have essentially no wires in the common other than that one little piece goes across, and we won't have a pole, which I think will be awesome. And then we also need to get the sprinkler system hooked back up, and that unfortunately has to wait until the spring. So we'll wrap that up, and then we'll plan on doing a ribbon cutting. We may want some more plantings. We wanted to kind of, we didn't have much time before it's essentially winter already, to really get a feel for what it looks like. But if we feel it needs more plantings, we can do those in the spring as well. Maybe we can arrange something. I know that Bill Yeomans had organized people to come together to help with that for the townhouse at one point, and that worked really well. I know the garden club does things like that around town, so we haven't explored those options, but we will look into that.
But that'd be the time now to talk to the garden club, and then they could spend the whole off-season designing what they think would be a nice look.
Yeah, we'll see if they're interested in that. And then there's, we do want to put a sign up, and we've decided the location for the sign. You've all noticed the control panel, the electrical control panel is kind of modern looking. It's stainless steel. So on the back side of that, we plan to put a large sign on the back with historic pictures. We're still in the process of designing it. Certainly if anyone's got any input on that, we'd love to hear it. But we'll capture that, and then we'll capture the fact that the money came from CPC and CPA monies.
Who owns that box?
We do.
Okay.
Ours.
If it's a utility, you can't get.
No,
Will there
it's
be
town
Gotcha.
bucks.
No problem.
Will
Just
there be an
asking.
opportunity to share what may be close to the final design of that sign before it actually is finalized with this committee? So
Sure.
that, I don't know if we have the timeline to
Sure,
get
no,
that.
we'll definitely do that. Yeah. So we'll be working on that over the winter and then we'll bring it out.
Can you give an update on what went on with the store there?
I don't know a lot about it other than a car. It looked like a Jeep Cherokee.
Yep, I went up over the curb
Went over
and
the
up
curb,
over
and I
the
don't know
big
how it
step. I
happened.
mean,
But I don't know if
store?
there's significant structural
country
damage.
store.
I'm thinking that there is some because with some of the pictures that I saw, that it looked like the wall was like coming out. So,
When did this happen?
but no one was
Last
hurt.
week.
last week.
It was
Within,
this week, wasn't it?
It happened on
Well,
Tuesday.
this is- What's
Tuesday.
today?
Within the last
Thursday, yeah.
Tuesday.
Those two-
Is it more
No one
cars
was
getting
hurt.
built?
They
The
already
driver
had-
wasn't hurt. No one in the
Three
store was
houses
hurt.
down.
and
I think it's all po-
they already had something up
I
for
was
it.
at my other job and I heard kind of like a crash, which I frequently hear working on the common. And there were no sirens, so I didn't give it another thought. And I walked out like 45 minutes later and I saw everything. I was like, that wasn't good.
Yeah, that's not good.
So
I
they
think
all,
structurally it's okay because it's post and beam, so I didn't see any pictures, but
yeah, it was just the
you
wall.
could kind of
Looked like
the wall
needs
fix the wall.
needs some work.
But it went in the front.
Right through
The front door, yeah. They tried
But there's
to get
nothing
in
to
the
hit like structurally, so
Just really took out the door.
yeah.
I know they were looking at putting a different kind of door in there before, and they opted not to. Maybe now.
Yeah.
We got one with windows and stuff. Would have been nice. The one other major thing on the common that is still waiting to be done is the archway and the granite posts by the east entrance. You may have recall that I've been trying to get that granite for. Let's see, we ordered it in March, very beginning of March. So still no idea. They told us it was going to be here on Thanksgiving, and it's not here still. So.
Paul, I tried. There's like a brown. They put up not painted white, like a something.
Yep,
in
I was
front
going to
of
talk
it.
about that next.
Oh,
We did put up a guardrail
Yeah, guard.
because
People.
if you ever notice on 140, if you're standing at that east entrance, it's a direct line in there.
Yeah.
And we wanted to provide some protection for the archway again, for the electrical control panel that's there, any pedestrians that might be going in that way. So we put in, it's a guardrail that's pressure treated lumber. It's low. It's just, I believe it's either one or two. I think it's just
It's
one.
two. Yeah, whatever.
I think it's just one.
Probably just
it goes
one.
across, and we can stain it if we want to in the spring. But they put a very similar type of guardrail in at the library, so there's some cohesion there. And they didn't stain those, and they do get darker over time. It actually looks pretty nice over there.
Did anyone think about like putting a little island in the center of the road there?
With a
Maybe
dummy?
put-
Like a
yeah, and maybe put a flashing light on it or something. Has anyone thought of that?
On the
think so.
guardrail, is the
The Bermuda Triangle.
is the strength any similar to like the metal guardrails you'll see?
So the wooden guardrails, so there's like 3 different levels of them and stuff. It's, it's the wood, you can put a steel plate behind it. There's all different ones. Generally, they're there for, so people can see it.
Yeah.
And if you're going any type of, speed, you're not gonna stop a car. But if someone backs into it or someone sees it and they're slowing down, it's not like a,
Yeah, I
We're
was
gonna-
just thinking the idea of some of the accidents were just because people didn't slow down.
Right.
you're not gonna,
And-
You're
guardrails
not
aren't
gonna-
meant to do that, yeah.
The gentleman that took out the archway went through that huge, 2 of them, granite posts. So no, the guardrail wouldn't stop, but it's designed to slow them down. It's fairly inexpensive, so it can be easily replaced if it gets destroyed. We are gonna put some reflectors on it, so that it'll have some more visibility to people coming from that direction.
Did we ever get anything from the who was it, Stop and Shop or Wegmans or whatever, for their truck that hit it?
Walmart.
That was Walmart.
Walmart.
I'm not involved with that. That is not part of this project, so you have to take that up with Evan. There'll be insurance money for that.
Yeah.
But trying to get granite is a real challenge.
Yeah,
So I don't know when that's going to get
I
done.
know.
But we can't. As each accident happens, we can't fold it in.
Yeah, it's not like we're, one state away from the granite state or anything, so you can see the problem.
The stuff we ordered is from Maine, I believe. So really not that far away.
Weights and measures, now we're zigging and zagging that where we wanted to put it, they're saying we can't put it because of the, that little annunciator, if that's the right term, the flash strobe.
Yep.
So we were gonna scoot it over to the left, so I need to clear this with Beth. If that's the case, then it will fit, there's no problem, and then that will be done.
Yeah.
We just won't have an electrical outlet for it.
After all, you put one in, didn't you?
But it's put to be here, and it's gonna get moved over, so hopefully it'll be close enough to where it'll reach.
John, I don't
See
want
the
to
board
ask,
now.
I don't want to ask this question, but was there some issue with the desks not being ADA compliant?
The counters are.
They're not,
How
not at the right height.
That has been going on for a year at the
How is
library,
that possible?
because the architect screwed up. They were told by Beth, they still did it, so they're in, and so for a year, it's been this back and forth of,
How
when
much are they off?
when are they gonna get, it's inches, but it's not appropriate, so
Yeah,
they've
yeah,
got to
yeah.
go in and redo all this, so they're gonna have to rip up and tear up. And they were supposed to have done it it's like the bandstand, every month they promise you, it'll happen,
I
it'll
mean,
happen,
you
it'll
don't know,
happen.
but how does the architect, how does even the person putting it in? They put in countertops, they know what the standard height of a countertop is.
You
It's not
think
the
with
standard
all the
height.
consultants that we have, that we are paying to be experts, and all this gets past them,
So how,
So were the plans wrong?
No,
Or did,
nope.
So it was the contractor that did it wrong? So the
the
contractor should,
architect did it wrong.
well, then it
Well,
would
then
be,
it'd be the
the
plans.
Plans
would
are
be
wrong.
Well, the architect, I thought you was a planner, but the architect is paying for that fix.
Okay.
We're not having to pay for that. It's one of the few
how can he make
screw
that?
ups in Grafton that the
Unbelievable.
architect has to pay for.
Yeah.
How many countertops are you talking about?
Multiple.
I mean, that's just incredible.
Copy
No,
and paste,
we've got
copy and
doors
paste.
that don't work, that they
Oh,
designed,
serious?
they designed huge doors, and you can't get brackets that'll hold up a door that big.
Well, you can somewhere. I mean, they have huge
They can't,
doors.
they can't, so
I mean, it can't be
Custom
bigger
made.
than like Congress. I mean, there's
well, the
door
doors-
hinges
yeah.
somewhere.
the doors are as big as half of that wall,
Yeah, it's just all custom.
and
Yeah, exactly. Custom.
and they designed it wrong,
Metalworks.
but we're having to pay.
I didn't want to.
We got a metalworks company for you. They've been working with us on the archway, so.
I just said, fill it with
As long as you got
glass
the
and put
granite
in 2
first.
double doors and we're done.
No, these guys are
Someone
good.
said, maybe we can try that. So, okay, sorry, Lions Club,
Out to bid.
okay, good.
Sweet.
Cisco,
No update.
Better.
Recreation, she's absent.
Awesome.
Weed abatement, we just send them payment, so they are on their way?
Yeah, they are basically done. It's now complete.
Good.
if anybody wants the reports, I can get them for them. They're 1,900 pages and 116 pages, the reports.
We got our money's
Is the
worth.
116 a summary of the?
The report submitted and published under Task 1 on all past reported pollution spills, that's the 1,900 page report, into Flint Pond from 1938 to 2022. And it documented modifications to the water flow into and out of Flint Pond for those years. Task 2, the report was submitted and published, it was 116 pages. On this, it summarizes 15 core samples of Flint Pond sediment samples and their laboratory analysis for the current level of existing pollution in Flint Pond. The major takeaway from each task is, under 1, there has been very little modification of the water flow into and out of Flint Pond in the last 80 years. Under Task 2, the sediments in the bottom of Flint Pond are sufficiently contaminated in a number of categories that they do not meet Massachusetts standards for upland use. The details.
For those of us that don't know what that means, what
So
is
the detailed
upland
results
use?
found in these 2 reports will be utilized in planning the Lake Quinsigamond Commission's weed reclamation,
Yeah, what does that got to do with weeds?
weed elimination projects in 2023 and subsequent years.
Cause you don't wanna disturb the bottom and create, allow the pollutants to
True.
To migrate.
Which means they're not
migrate.
gonna dredge it, I guess.
No, but even in doing, even do weed abatement, you have to know that, hey, I can't touch the sediment, I can't stir it up. So whatever, you can't use probably mechanical stuff to get down in it. There's probably a bunch of stuff that
So
you
it's gonna
can't.
be
Using
chemical
chemical
sometime.
stuff to try and kill it,
It'll be a
add more pollutants.
Yeah.
I don't know, I know there's a bunch of
Or
funky
weed-eating
ways,
carp.
yeah, I
So
know,
what is,
I've
Heard that
when they said it's not suitable for upland use?
so I'm not
If it's
familiar with that
underwater.
term. I'm really more or less like, is it reportable? You know, would it require reporting to DEP? So that it is. And then, I don't know, there's probably some definition in some law that tells you what that is. So, that I can't tell you. That I don't know what it means exactly. Just that it's probably not great, but it's not super
You
bad.
don't wanna be building something there.
Being technical and all.
Yeah, sort of like, someplace in the middle here, but it's not, yeah.
Does this mean that the account can be closed? Okay.
But it'll be valuable information for whoever's doing it in the future.
Exactly. And
Don't you think they'll be back next year?
No, I think part of it was, they've often asked the select board,
Yeah.
to contribute money to the Quinsigamond Commission, I believe.
Right.
And it's never been part of the town budget, and I think this was seen as a way.
So
Yeah.
some Concon gave a small amount and then CPC. And then
But
it
don't you
was,
think they'll need it again and again and again and again and again?
in some ways, yes, but this was kind of the report. And a lot of the stuff they do is not in Grafton.
Right.
No, yeah.
So this actually has an impact in Grafton. That's why it kind of stepped up this time. Not that they don't ask all the time, but we don't,
Because a lot of it doesn't impact Grafton.
right. From what I,
Those chemicals came down and took out all that purple loose strife from the.
yeah, I mean, it's just, it's all probably weeded. I mean, the weeds are probably just taken over and it's because of the flow, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, Unitarian. Accessibility.
UUSU, is that what you're talking about? So, we had a gentleman come to, the Historic District Commission, at our last meeting, from UUSGU. So what I know is information that I gleaned from talking to him. So apparently they have hired somebody and they're working through the planning process, but, I think they're finding it's a little tight in the area where they were looking to do this as far as turning. You may know more than I do.
I just know that the contract was awarded.
Yeah, so there's apparently, some concern that there may not be enough room for all the turning radiuses in the area that they were thinking of. So they're just at the beginning. I'm sure they'll work through it.
95 North Street. That's just getting started, and they're not gonna do bids till the spring anyway, right?
I don't know.
yeah, I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard, yeah.
And you skipped one, but I
Which
don't have
one?
it, the
SDS.
playground,
Oh, sorry.
but I don't have an update for it anyway.
Well, I think I knew that. Maybe that's why I skipped you.
So I don't think they have to finish the design before they can put it
Well,
up.
exactly.
So, yeah, I'll find out next Concom. I'll ask what
Well,
was
and I
going on.
think you'd be part of that process too, in the writing of the RFP.
No, but, you know, Leah would be and stuff.
Okay.
I'm just saying I'll see her, so
Okay.
I'll ask.
Okay, Robinson property. Has it closed yet?
It has not. I sent a note to Evan. I didn't hear back from him.
Okay.
But then after sending it, I'm realizing I believe the town meeting vote has to be certified before they can go
I
forward with
think
that.
you're right.
It would seem to kind of make sense. I don't think they can act on anything until it's,
Usually takes like a month or two.
yeah.
Wow, isn't that amazing? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
All those in favor? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I
Aye.
All those opposed? Declare.
We
adjourned.
will